Well, hey everyone, it's Marcus and welcome to more Zooming in the Jungle Room. I am going all the way over to Florida today where I'm speaking to an absolute legend of the industry. He is, of course, Al Anderson of the Wailers. Al, how are you today?
Oh, thank you for the kind words. We're doing well here.
Oh, fantastic. Now, of course, the reason why we're speaking is because you are about to embark on another Australian tour, which will be coming to Adelaide, which is going to be at the Gov on the 20th of November. But we've got some stuff to talk about. I mean, my lordy, the Wailers are just iconic, obviously, over 250 million albums worldwide. And of course,
Oh, it's tripled that now. 50 years of touring, Nazi Dread and so on. It's the numbers are really way more than that they have online and statistics of it.
it's crazy. Do you
Yeah,
think, obviously a movie came out, was it last year? I think it was. Do
yeah.
you think, does that obviously keep the legacy of the music and obviously Bob Marley and the Wailers alive? And, obviously attracting more of a younger demographic.
I didn't see the movie, but I believe that it did something positive for all of reggae music and
Mm.
music in general, as a biopic to see how Bob was not a pop star and that he was more somebody who was leading his country into a better situation with bringing tourism and consciousness of his philosophy and his music and his being.
Um, Obviously, in 1963, the Wailers formed. And then when Bob went solo in 1974, and correct me if I'm wrong with any of these dates, 1974, Bob went solo, which is when he hooked up with you. Do you go back to that period with just the most amazing memories of that time?
Yeah, because it had a lot to do with a rock guitar player from the Free who introduced me to Bob's music
Yeah.
and the Wailers. Um, I was with Paul Cossa from Free, the lead guitarist, and he's famous for All Right Now, and bands that came after them were Bad Company, but Free was the starting point with Paul's success, and he was a good friend. I met him at Fillmore East in New York City, like early 70s, and he invited me to come back to England and play. He had some solo records that he was going to do without you know the other members of Free. He'd be on his own doing his own recording. So he invited me to come over and have a play. So I was with him one day having some drinks and we were jamming together. He's an avid guitar collector, amp collector. He's a know-it-all about Stratocasters, Les Pauls, and old vintage guitars. So I learned a lot from him about old guitars, and the phone rang asking him to come to the studio to do the Nazi Dread album from Chris Blackwell,
Yeah.
CEO of Island, and he didn't feel like he was in condition that he wanted to do some recording. So I substituted for him. But just before I went to the studio to substitute for him, he played Catch a Fire and Burn It to give me an idea of what the possibilities of the sound that I would be facing, because I had no idea. I didn't know anything about the Wailers. I knew about Jimmy Cliff and Dennis Brown and Alton Ellis and these artists, but I didn't. Ken Booth was really popular in England, but the Wailers wasn't. They were like the underground groups that were massive, that were being played on the pirate stations. But at that time, I wasn't listening to the pirate music. I was more into pop rock music and blues, jazz, and things. So being introduced to reggae through Paul Kossoff was a big thing.
Hey, obviously in 1981, we lost Bob Marley. Going back to that time, um, how did you get through it? Because obviously you guys were good mates. How difficult was that process for you with, dealing with the death of Bob Marley?
Oh boy. Um, well, honestly, it was a nightmare. Um, wow. I spent the last 6 months with him in Germany, in Munich, and the hills of Bayan,
Yeah.
and had a doctor named Joseph Issels who was looking after his therapy at that time. And he was going through a lot of physical situations with his health. And we didn't know whether he was going to make it or not. We knew he wasn't going to be able to perform on the level of the earlier years, but we had no idea that we would lose him to his battle with brain cancer at that time. And
Yeah.
melanoma is a very hard thing against the body. It was, it's like losing somebody who is a leader,
Yeah.
you know, a really good leader, a great leader, songwriter. He had a lot of strength, his political views, his philosophy, his family, and mainly Jamaica. He wanted a brighter day for Jamaica because he felt as though that it was his responsibility, being so um, gifted and getting a blessing of success, that he had to give something back to his country of birth,
Yeah.
and he did.
Yeah.
But we were all shocked. We couldn't believe, because he was so healthy. It doesn't make sense
Mm.
how healthy he was, so healthy mentally and physically, that anything like this to do would just come out of nowhere. And there was all these excuses, like people stepped on his toe and they put it wherever it was supposed to be put. I remember him training in the House of Dread in Kingston, and Skill was there, Gilly was there, Itel was there, his good baller friend, and somebody accidentally stepped on his toe with a broken cleat. You know, the cleats, that they're a plastic piece that goes on the bottom of a shoe, a football shoe.
Yep.
So you basically screw it in. And this was because Jamaica didn't have so much possibility of really buying great sportswear during the early 70s, because we were in Trenchtown, and we didn't have that kind of money. And so because of the old shoe, somebody stepped on Bob's toe with this cleat, and it was more like a screw that went straight through his toenail. And he continued to play ball, and he continued to train and do all the normal things that he would do. But what I don't understand is, how could that cause melanoma and become cancerous
Mm.
as it got more infected? Because he cleaned it and kept it, bound, but we never knew that it was going to become cancerous. Neither did he.
Man.
And it was a shock. We were in Ireland, and it was one of our last shows in Europe before we were coming to the States. And he said that he couldn't sing. He said, "I can't sing anymore." And so he kind of showed us where his lymph nodes were. They were swollen, like they were protruding. And he said it was really impacting his vocal capability, and that he wouldn't be able to finish uh, the performance of the tour. But we got through the night, and then it was just on to finding out what was wrong. And then we ended up in New York at Sloan Kettering Cancer Clinic, and we found out the outcome, that he was in severe problem with his situation. And so we just kept praying. We kept praying that, he would come back to one, and we would, go back on tour, and have those days where we were jamming and we were around him all the time. But then he was bedridden. And so we were hurting, man. And it's one of the biggest losses of our lives, is to
Yeah.
lose him, Peter and Bunny, the three of them, the iconic three that taught me everything pretty much I know about the reggae Rasta movement. We lost them, and we've been trying to carry on, but it's very difficult, because
Mm.
there's many Wailers that people say that they're the Wailers, and they're basically a tribute to Bob Marley, Peter, and Bunny,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're not the real deal. They don't have the elements what it takes, which you have to have original members
Yeah.
that went through the struggle and saw the success, and all the rest that comes along with, from the beginning to the end.
I saw you with the Gov last year when you were here. and the energy that you all bring to the stage, and the spirit and the soul that you bring to the stage is just amazing. And, you know, I mean, it can be unmatched, 100%. Hey,
Oh, thank
going back to the early days, for you, who were you listening to that really drove your way into the music industry?
Wow. Good question. Otis Redding,
Yeah.
people like James Brown and the Beatles,
Mm.
Rolling Stones, Michael Jackson, Jackson 5 in the early days,
Yep.
Michael's really cool. He's really hip.
Yeah.
He's a really hip guy. He was really sharp.
Did you get to
A lot of
meet
people,
him?
a lot of people thought that he was kind of not so sharp as a knife, but he was a razor.
Did you get to meet him, Al?
Yeah, I
Oh,
went to one of his birthday parties. We played in Jamaica with him,
yeah.
and
Wow.
I got to meet his brother Randy and Tito and all of his
Yep.
mother and family. Really wonderful people.
What an experience. Hey, when you're playing with the Wailers these days, is there a song that you sing, perform, that you really resonate with, you know, the spirit of Bob?
Wow, that's a good question too. We have so many songs in the catalog of the records that, for in terms of me, I started with Naughty Dread.
Yeah.
So like Revolution and songs like that, So Just Say,
Mm,
you know, Roadblock,
yeah.
Talking Blues. Some of the songs off of Naughty Dread are really, because that was my beginning, and it's really, it's a big heart when I hear our group play the songs that we played with the Wailers back in the day.
Yeah. Um, Al, I mean, look, I could talk to you forever. I'm a massive, massive fan of the music, and your work, in general. But, you know, I mean, clearly you've got somewhere to go to because you're in your car ready to zoom off somewhere.
No, that's okay. We can talk.
Oh, well, I was told that you love to have a good conversation. Well, okay, let's do one more question then. So with the tour, obviously you're doing all of Australia. What do you get out of doing the tours when you get to perform the music live? What do you personally get from it?
Personally, New Zealand and Australia and New Zealand was the beginning of our large audiences. They really took on to it quickly. Like England and America took a while to, get their tooth out of their head so that they understood that, this is the sound of the future. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people, they were stubborn. And honestly, my feeling of New Zealand and Australia were the people that started the huge movement
Mm,
of Rastafarianism, Rasta, ganja, and reggae, and Herbs. Herbs was one of the early groups that embraced reggae music and embraced us, along with the Maori people and the Kiwi people from Australia. It was like a it was like a big thing for us to see that our merchandise was moving. Our concerts were full of Aborigine people, full of Maoris, full of Kiwi people, full of all the national people of Australia and New Zealand. So that was our beginning. That was like a really big beginning for us because we saw that we were becoming successful of
mm,
some sort. People were taking notice to our songwriting and the philosophy that Bob transcended to the rest of the world. Um, New Zealand, Australia, honestly, it's such a beautiful place to live. You guys are so spoiled. You got mom and pop shops, guitar shops. They still exist. You got these little thrift shops. And it's just every time I go back to New Zealand, Australia, I feel like I'm in 1980, although it's 2024, 2025. It's
yeah.
just you go right to the early days when I was in New Zealand and Australia in the 70s, the mid 70s, early mid 70s, and nothing's changed. I
Yeah.
mean, Auckland has changed, and lots of Australia has changed because they're building and there's more investment going on.
Yep.
But the structure, like when you go to Wellington or Sydney, Perth, or Adelaide, you just feel like, wow, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
You got thrift shops, nice little restaurants, and beachside fish fry places that it makes you feel really comfortable from all the years you've gone. That there's been no great change. There's
Yep.
just been like a great awareness of people still love the music that we create and play, and it's just a great feeling to know that people still come out to enjoy like the sound of reggae music and what we've done with the Wailers.
Al, when you're over here in Australia, you probably don't get a lot of downtime, but if you do get a day off here or there, what is something you're really looking forward to doing?
Going to the beach or just going to museums,
Yeah, nice.
seeing culture and the artwork of Aboriginal people, and we like food.
Yeah.
Going to any guitar or vinyl or CD shop that we can find, we spend hours a day, and then having a couple of jars. You got good beer, you got great beer,
Yeah.
so
Well,
we get out.
all those places for Adelaide for you, all right?
Yeah, man.
And our art museum is amazing. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
been South Australian Arts Gallery, sorry. Insane, just incredible.
yeah, that's the things I really like to do.
Sweet. Hey, one last question for you. Who are some artists that you're really admiring at the moment, that are just kicking some, serious butt?
Wow. Lauryn Hill,
Ah, yes.
Santana, still.
Yep.
Um, YG Marley's doing very good,
Yeah.
very good.
Yep.
And Here Comes Zion. Um, in Jamaica, like Beanie Man and Bounty Killer and these guys for dancehall, cartel.
And this time around, you have brought over special guests, the Elevators. Have you worked with them before as the support
Oh,
act?
they're on Ineffable Records, and my management, Robert Duderman Productions, in association with Ineffable, decided that it would be good to bring like another artist from the label over
Yeah.
to, help us out and open up for us and get the vibe going. And they're the right guys. They're really cool bunch of guys. And we're looking forward to coming out there and having a really good reggae party
Yeah.
and play the songs that you're familiar with and some new things, some new ditties also.
Cannot even wait. So everyone, the original Wailers play the Gov on the 20th of November 2024, and obviously the rest of Australia and New Zealand as well. Al, what an absolute treat talking to you. You are
Yeah,
a top guy.
could you also add in the Al Anderson link tree?
Yes, absolutely.
You can go there and hear 2 songs that we've released for
Yeah.
the upcoming Mirror of Heaven EP we're producing now. We've already got a Song of the Divine with a video.
Yep. I will
Song of the,
in the post. Absolutely.
and we have Pierda por Pierda is going to be our newest release to come within the new year. And our second release was a song that we did called Si Tu Me Lo Das, which is a love song. Song of the Divine is a spiritual song.
Yeah.
And we did that in Bali. We did a video in Bali with that song where we were in a Buddhist temple with priests giving us blessings, and we were able to record our music with Buddhist priests, the head of their sect, and all the people that follow him, some children, mothers, and grandmothers. Man, please take a look and listen to Song of the Divine from the OG Wailers. You'll love it because we're a really good direction. And I think that we're doing something that it's purely original from our heart. It's from the heart.
Al, and Bali is my second home. We'll hook up there one day. Absolutely.
We got a lot to talk about. Make sure that come on backstage when
I totally will. You're my mate already.
we got some merchandise and some nice lids and stuff. And, you know, I think you'd like to have a chat with the lads, you know?
I cannot wait to come back and meet you, definitely. But I will definitely be there for sure. So,
Oh,
Al, what an absolute pleasure talking to you. You enjoy the rest of your day.
God bless you.
And
Thank
I
you.
will see you in just, what's only about 20 days now. We'll see you then.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
God bless.